Dice has an interesting Rain team with 2 Stealth Rock weak Rain abusers alongside 2 spinners. Now, Dragonite doesn't necessarily have to abuse Rain. It could very well be a Choice Bander with Sleep Talk to offensively respond to Sleep dished out by Breloom and Amoonguss, 2 natural Rain enemies. Unlike Latios, it does not get destroyed by Tyranitar's Pursuit, and it also threatens Tyranitar a lot harder with Band Outrage and Superpower. However, it could very well go on the rain-abusing offensive with Hurricane, Thunder, and Surf. M-Dragon's got a Victini on his sand team, which is an underexplored offensive threat, but he's very thankful that he didn't face Keldeo because his 2 fighting resists, Victini and Landorus, get completely drowned by a water move, while he's got 3 Secret Sword weaknesses, and Rotom either has his leftovers canceled by sand, or Keldeo's Hydro or Surf is being boosted by Rain. So, lucked out a little there. So, let's get this show on the road. Our leads are Rotom against Starmie. Now, Rotom is a great lead against Rain because it tends to burn Ferrothorn early, which is always appreciated for a multitude of reasons, such as spiking alongside it with your own Pharaoh and not having to waste a slot on knockoff. And generally getting momentum with Volt Switch, especially into offensive threats that offensive Rain teams usually don't have the backbone to switch into safely, like Terrakion. Or in this case, Victini, because who knows what kind of coverage that thing's packing. The only thing that Dice could have that would have threatened it for an OHKO would be Band Dragonite, which is, I mean, a little early to lock in Outrage, but that could have been done. Or Mold Breaker Excadrill, which is not as much of a threat to M-Dragon's full health Ferrothorn and Lando at the beginning of a game. Although if it is Scarf Lando and Ferrothorn ends up taking some hits, then a Mold Breaker Scarf Drill could be a threat. So, we're going to assume things like offensive Starmie, Scarf Drill probably, Bulky Toad with things like Refresh for Rotom Wisp and Sun, Band Dragonite, and then DD Gyara, standard Ferrothorn of some sort. Although it could be Scarf Gyarados, it's better to assume DD because that's the more threatening set. And Scarf can be played around with Lando or Excadrill being Scarf. Although in the current metagame, it is far more likely that Excadrill is a bulky spin set. So, or an offensive bulky spin set. Because it mainly runs offensive investment to plow through things like Reuniclus and Gliscor and Ferrothorn, but it also runs some bulk, since max speed investment doesn't do a ton for it. So, Dice's Starmie lead is strange against a team with Tyranitar, Rotom, and Ferrothorn, and so M-Dragon's thinking, well, sweet, I just get to Will-O-Wisp or Volt Switch right away, and turn 1 reveals that Dice had motivation for leading with Starmie in that it is a Trick Flame Orb variant, and he burns Rotom, so that's crucial for Gyarados, who hates Rotom. He also hates Ferrothorn, but if this Ferrothorn is Knock, and then, gets into a really obnoxious Hazard laying war, then Ferrothorn could be brought down that way. So, Rotom being burned, and losing its leftovers on top of that is just killer. So, Tyranitar comes in. Just to remove Starmie immediately, to remove 1 spinner, which is nice, because Excadrill does not spin as easily, especially if it's Scarfed. So that was his reasoning for going to that over Ferrothorn, which this Starmie was very likely now completely helpless against. So Starmie is going to just attack it, I think. No sense switching out on the Pursuit, and getting damage on Tyranitar is good when you're using a Rain team. M-Dragon goes for Crunch. That might reveal he's not Pursuit, since some players say, well, I don't need to pursue things like Latios and Zam if I have the tools to play around them with things like Scarf Lando and Pharaoh and Bulky Rotom. So, and the extra coverage moves do make a big difference. So, and plus, a lot of players are not going to chance switching out of Tyranitar with those Pokemon because they'd rather just hit it for their other Pokemon to take advantage of. So, Dice deals, call it 40% with Hydro and goes down. So, good start for Dice, because now he's got the offensive momentum. Because while Tyranitar is great, it is also a slow, big blob, weak to common attack sometimes. So, he's going to follow it up with Politoed, which is going to scare the Tyranitar out, and we're going to see either Rotom or Ferrothorn come in. Now, if Rotom comes in, it can keep up momentum with Volt Switch, or it can dish out a Will-O-Wisp. Ferrothorn, probably not ready to have both his water resists eat the burn, especially since Gyarados is going to be staring him down later. And Ferrothorn can be crucial to warning off Scarf Drill potentially. So it's likelier we see Rotom. Ferrothorn doubles in, because that would be a good switch to both of those, so that's a good move. Now, is Dice willing to take the burn? He might be. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have switched to it, because he couldn't have just said, well, he definitely switches to Ferrothorn, because it was likelier that he goes to Rotom. So he's probably willing to do that, and knock off the Drill, or more likely use Drill as bait for Gyarados to go in. But the question here is, what's he going to do when Ferrothorn is the counter to Gyarados? Because he can't just count on it being non-Power Whip. So, yeah, we'll see. Something with his Dragonite probably is the plan. So, he gets up the rocks, and now we're going to see the Volt Switch either into Pharaoh or Drill. I think Pharaoh's risky, because if you're getting knocked, then you're really... Ooh, he eats the knock, so now Gyarados is really scary. So, maybe Drill was the move. Just make sure you try to keep that off. But now here comes D-Knight, so what are we going to see? Sub-DD, maybe? Or a Hurricane, or just banned Superpower? Nope, we do see Hurricane. That's a crit. That KOs. So, who knows what kind of set it is. It doesn't show Life Orb, but I don't think anyone would really run Life Orb Hurricane these days. Might be Specs, because any other set probably would have stayed in an attack Tyranitar. At least now, Politoed is free to Scald against a non-lefty's Ferrothorn, so even if he doesn't get the burn, then it's working out. And he goes for Hypnosis. Good risk, since the upside is huge, and now here comes Drill. I mean, Choice Spin kind of blows, but he'll take it if it means resetting, making Ferrothorn have to go for it again. Gets a lucky sleep, and now here comes Dragonite with Multiscale intact, but he gets leeched on the switch. So, however, T-Char's still low, so switching into Hurricane with Rocks up, not exactly a pleasant prospect, but Dragonite with Specs also runs Focus Blast, so we can go to that. It's not like Landorus is coming in, or Victini, and not like they would really like it with Rocks up. But Dice makes a great move and goes to Gyarados, and M-Dragon stays in. That was a nice move from M-Dragon. Reading the possibility that Dice would do that, I don't think many players would do that at all. So now he comes back in, and he has the Intimidate, so M-Dragon doesn't want to mess around and give him a free sub, potentially. So he just goes for the Whip, and Dice uses that to get this guy back in. And now he goes for the Hurricane, and M-Dragon switches out. So that was very nicely done from M-Dragon. And he does have Pursuit. So, I guess the reason he didn't go for it against Starmie was maybe he expected Recover or something. But Dragonite does get trapped. So now he's got to be a little more careful around the Ferrothorn, since it did get a little bit of health back. But he's got another free Scald coming up. Oh, he just goes for Hypnosis to give himself 2 shots at it. And now Ferrothorn is guaranteed to sleep on the switch, so that was a nice move by M-Dragon. He got a little unlucky with the Hurricane miss. And he gets a little unlucky with the second Hurricane miss. And he gets unlucky with a third Hurricane miss. And he gets pursued and dies. Oh, that kind of sucks. Here comes Ferrothorn, and now Ferrothorn is guaranteed to sleep, well, 1 turn. So he double switches in. Now, the revenge killing opportunity M-Dragon has comes from one of his 3 possible Choice Scarfers. I think it's Excadrill, which is unlikely to be Excadrill, so it's likely to be Scarflando, because U-turn generally useful against Zam and Latios and keeping momentum and such. Not every Landorus runs Stone Edge, which is a problem. I mean, some of them run like Explosion, but against sub, it's not going to do a lot. Hitting Stone Edge is a daunting prospect against several subs anyway. But I guess another issue is that M-Dragon doesn't have Sleep Talker, unless it's Victini, which I guess I could see that. But if it's Sleep Talk Scarflando, you know, because Breloom is annoying, then this could be complete Gyara bait. He goes right for the DD, and he switches to Pharaoh. U-turning would be incredibly, incredibly brave. So that was a nice move. Does he go back to Gyara is the question. He does. Very nicely done. It's really hard to stone. Well, maybe not. I guess you don't want to lose your Scarf. But, I guess, yeah, it's easy for me to say, but that is a hard move to make. But I think at this point you're so behind because you don't even have rocks, and you're not going to get rocks at this point. So, Dice subs up on the Lando this time, and even with -1, the Waterfall is going to pound him. He's got to watch out for the Victini with its Bolt Strikes and such. And Excadrill, but now that Lando's gone, Scarf Drill is actually a huge threat. Ooh, Scarf Drill wins if this is not Scarf Victini, which it's not going to be. So, Ferrothorn is sacked, and now Drill's going to sweep. Oh, it's Balloon Drill. No one expected that, I don't think, because most of them are lefties. And he Swords Dances on Toad. Nice move. Problem, though, Gyarados has Intimidate, and he can't use Iron Head here. Because I think he just... this is a tough one. Because I think, I guess you'd have to Calc. So, extra, we're just gonna pop in. Well, actually, no, I should do it here so you guys can see it. Gyarados at +1. Iron Head is doing that much, so yeah, I think you go Gyarados with Intimidate and such. Because you can also go back to Politoed if you need a second one. So I think you definitely go Gyarados and just preserve the Politoed health in case it comes down to a sack war against Victini. Because I'm thinking, like, what if he sacks... I guess he can't really go to Pharaoh because that gives subs and DD, so this was the safer route. And he can just DD here, actually. Oh, it's DD Rock Slide. Oh. So, wow, I don't think anyone expected that. And now, M-Dragon is the winner. That was... a complete turnaround. My goodness. SD Rock Slide is basically forgotten on Excadrill, like just this pure offensive black and white set. So either he didn't have Spin or he didn't have Iron Head. Most people like Iron Head because it smacks Gliscor, but Rock Slide is underappreciated coverage, I guess, because it beats down Rotom, who loves running special defense these days for Rain Onslaughts. And even Thundurus sometimes takes it for granted, and Thundurus sometimes runs Focus Blast less sets, so that was very nice from M-Dragon. So we're on to game 2. Alright, so Dice running some more Rain, this time with a Tornadus and a Kyurem, and 2 Spinners again, while M-Dragon is running a classic offensive team of his. 2 Therians, he's got the Spin for him. So, yeah, I think these sets are... Well, I mean, the Kyurem could be anything, but especially because... I guess it being a Choice Band Sleep Talker, if it is that set, could free up... what's it name? Yeah, excuse me, what's it called? Could free up Tornadus to not have to run Sleep Talk, which is always nice. But it could also be Sub-Roost with Toxic Spikes, so... I think this is going to be bulky again. This is the Excadrill is probably going to be Scarf, although they could reverse those roles. And too many of the, I mean, 4 of these Pokemon could run Stealth Rock, and Lando or T-Tar are probably going to be the Scarfer. I mean, T-Tar's not really a traditional Scarfer in the Revenge Killing role, but it does give it speed. It would be the fastest Pokemon on that team. So let's see what they lead off with. Heatran leading off against Rain is always interesting. I guess he was expecting Ferrothorn because it does at least, I mean, it doesn't completely get destroyed by everything else. So, but Dice decides to just lead off with Toad because if either you get the Rain up for Tentacruel to be obnoxious, or if T-Tar comes in, then you can potentially burn it or Ferrothorn right off the bat. So, nice move. And Thundurus is actually really, really scary if it's got Focus Blast. So, there was even some element of risk to that. So he's going to get out of there to Ferrothorn, and Dice goes for his Scald Burn and gets it immediately. What a lovely move. So now he goes to his own Ferrothorn. and M-Dragon doubles out to Tyranitar. So could this be a Stealth Rock set? One to get up those rocks and scare out Pharaoh a little. Here comes Thundurus, and Dice goes for the move I approve of. I know it's easy to say after he's done it, but I think it's fair because Tyranitar doesn't run Band Superpower these days. Doesn't run Band because it's just slow and the power doesn't translate to too many concrete results that are relevant these days. So, and like a mixed Fire Blast, I mean, you want to mix Fire Blast into the Toad when you're getting rocks up, and plus it doesn't KO, and Pharaoh is not exactly staving things off, and it switches in on Ferrothorn for complete free. So I think Ferrothorn's health was reasonable to risk, and when you're trying to win the Weather War, especially when you've got Tentacruel who completely relies on it, then that Power Whip could have been seriously important. So I agree with that. And now he's going to stay in and try to muscle it out with Thund, which gets in immediately. I mean, in retrospect, that was a tough turn for M-Dragon, because I mean, you can't exactly go Pharaoh there, because Dice could very easily say, hey, I want my Pharaoh healthy, and just go to Toad. So, and it might not be Stealth Rock Tyranitar after all. But, and it doesn't look like it's Focus Blast either, because there was no downside to using Focus Blast there, and Dice gets kind of lucky hitting all those those Power Whips in a row, and critting the third. But again, Ferrothorn's health is not that necessary, so, yeah, now he gets in Heatran, keeps his air balloon intact, so, which is nice, a nice tool for not having to step on spikes. And gets up rocks as Toad comes in, but Pharaoh's burned, and Tenna's Rain Dish is active, so this is like Tenna's dream. So M-Dragon's really got to go T-Tar here, and he does, very nicely done, as he cuts off the Rain Dish and threatens to hit it really hard. Stone Edge is... that was a really unlucky turn. I mean, he hit Stone Edge and did a ton, but he gets crit burned. That's really rough. So now he's going to go to Pharaoh, who at least now, he punishes Tentacruel for spinning, very nicely done. Then he's able to bring Tentacruel down to where it might even die to hazards, but this is where Dice's second spinner comes in handy very nicely. And the problem with Burn Ferrothorn also is if it's Sub-Kyurem, then it really gets nasty. Not that it wasn't to begin with, if it's not running Gyro Ball, which less and less Pharaoh do, but no. He goes for the spikes. He's got to have some sort of plan. And Kyurem is also obnoxious because you might think, well, if he gets some spikes down, Ferrothorn can be annoying, especially if he happens to have knock. And Tran can maybe pressure if it's like Magma Storm or something. And then Starmie can be a threat. And yeah, but Kyurem gets in the way of that too. So it's looking like Dice really has this one. He gets Leech Seeded on the switch, but he's too weak to really safely switch into anything. So he gets the sand up, back to Tran. The balloon's not looking too useful, and Dice is able to safely U-turn with a non-Specs Tornadus. So probably Shark Beak if it did that. Sharp Beak if it did that much. So Toad comes in, and it's looking like Toad's going to be outlasting the Tar. Toad being able to run lefties gives it a real edge up on, if its teammates are chosen well, of course, on Tyranitar, who often cannot. His Chople is just so crucial. So now he's going to end the Starmie's even Lum, so Dice not having Rain even helps him. He does get the HP Fire kill on the Ferrothorn, which is nice. Maybe he could have saved himself some some Life Orb recoil, Life Orb and Sand recoil by just immediately HP firing, but I mean, at this point it's looking kind of grim regardless, even if he does make insane plays, like HP firing that Toad, just because Sand was up and he could have easily switched out to replenish his Rain. So, he is going to take the game, he's going to take game 2, sorry. So, yeah, this is really showing how effective Bulky Toad is currently. As it turns out in Game 1, Dice maybe should have preserved that, well, I guess he couldn't really. You know, he had to, like, he had to assume, he had to know the Excadrill was Rock Slide, so. So yeah, 1-1 going to Game 3. Whoops. Yeah, I fell behind, but you didn't see what just happened. Shut up. So yeah, I've been pausing. Actually haven't seen the results yet, but I've been pausing just because I want to really be intricate. Okay, so now M-Dragon is running an older-looking sand team. You know, I mean, Latios, my goodness. Better be running Healing Wish, because Calm Mind Recover just struggles with everything. It pretty much got to prey on, like, it preys on certain rain teams, admittedly, and those are a threat, so maybe this is a good call on M-Dragon's end. I'm just a little predisposed to not like Latios if it's not Healing Wishing, and very rarely does it find something that's worth Healing Wishing to. So, yeah, this was a very popular team a long time ago, and used to have, actually the standard one that was running around was Mew, so props to M-Dragon for making the upgrade to Heatran, and Scarf Garchomp for the cleaner. So there's lots of burns going around with Rotom and Heatran, and that can help Latios succeed. Now, Dice is running something a little more unorthodox. Hippowdon is fairly underappreciated, or actually even really underappreciated. It's got some incredible qualities. If it's taken advantage of right, but most people see the, you know, complete spike fodder and they're kind of turned off, which is fair because Black and White is about spikes a lot. Both Rotoms, I mean, Rotom is just more and more crucial every day. And Dice, with his third Excadrill of the series, it's just such a defining metagame presence right now. So, and Gengar, talk about another underappreciated Pokemon. So Hippo and Gar, we're going to see how they fare. Another Rotom lead. Rotom's just such a safe lead. 2 Rotom leads. Except Dice's is Scarfed. I guess that makes sense, because unless he was going to run Scarf Latios, which is admittedly a really nice Pokemon, because outrunning things like Scarftar and Zam, and Scarf Lando is backbreaking. And he now cripples M-Dragons, who burns him, but now he gets the free Wisp. No, he has to go for another Wisp. And Dice is running Trick Will-O-Wisp, a set that I thought only I used in Black and White like 7 years ago. No, 8 years ago, I'm sorry. You know, because I liked it so much in DPP. Anyway, speaking of burns, I was referring to Heatran's Lava Plume, not its Will-O-Wisp, but he burns the Hippowdon, so, but that's not really gonna, well, okay, no, it could make a difference because Dice's team is quite weak to Scarf Garchomp without Hippowdon around, since it's not unrealistic. Well, I guess now that Rotom is Scarf, then it's not as easy for him to land it on Pharaoh. I mean, he could because, but now basically Dice has the ability to predict, and if his Excadrill has Protect, which is very likely, then that could be really nasty. Rocky Helmet Scarm is going to be crucial for M-Dragon. Does he go for the rocks here, if he even has them? He goes for Protect, so that was smart. I think it's likelier that the Tyranitar is rocks, but, you know, not having to run rocks on Tran or T-Tar is nice, you know, in both cases. And he just goes for Flamethrower, so he's running a really old Heatran set. I kind of dig it. If it's especially defensive with Earth Power, then, you know, that helps with the old Mew version of this team's immense Heatran issues. With, you know, the Latios, or even Latios not helping much. Rotom gets worn down, Garchomp Scarf, T-Tar gets worn down really easily. Tran lives forever, so that was, and of course Mew is like insane Tran bait, so that was really nice. And now he decided, hey, I'm going for the Scarf Chomp win. I'm gonna wear this Hippo down. And instead, Dice is like, well, I kind of need this Hippo around. It's going to be with Spike's pressure that he, and resistances that he beats the Scarf Chomp, because Hippo just kind of gets attacked over and over, especially with his burned. So, I mean, I'm sure still probably win a one-on-one, but, you know, so Tran is still going to have to run away from this if he doesn't want to go down, unless he wants to go for the double. No, he goes for Latios, which is a nice move. And Dice Volt switches, because why not? Not going to switch to Garchomp there. And in comes Ferrothorn for that hazard pressure. And Tyranitar can't really come in, but with, well, that Hippowdon, with, actually no, since Mono Dragon Pulse gets completely destroyed by, I was going to say Sand Force Drill and its Iron Head, but, you know, Mold Breaker Earthquake is pretty good too. So, yeah, it's not going to get past that, and now, I'm not even sure if Dragon Pulse was the right move, because you pretty much forced him to Scarm, and now that you know, Excadrill was, now that Excadrill was staring down a subless Latios, then Excadrill was not under any pressure to stay in, so, yeah, and it's not Rocky Helmet Scarm, it's Spikes. Now, it does enjoy the fact that Excadrill's moves are not going to be Sandforce boosted, but this is going to be really unpleasant because Excadrill has leftovers, and you know that SD Iron Head, you know, not fun. I mean, the standard drill set that goes around now is EQ Iron Head Protect Spin, so Scarm could, you know, beat it one-on-one because the Iron Head is just not going to be doing that much without boosts. But with Swords Dance, it's a whole different ballgame, especially with no helmet and lefties, of course. So. But M-Dragon does get his Rotom KO, so that was nice. So now he goes to his Rotom to deal with Gengar. And speaking of Will-O-Wisps, Black and White really is turning into a very burn-centric metagame. He misses on the Rotom, but he has Protect to scout it out. And I mean, I was speaking of Protect earlier on Excadrill to handle Rotom, but no, he's got it on Gengar, so that's really, really nice. I'm not really quite sure. Ooh, that crit is gonna hurt, so this is a really offensive drill. Yeah, I'm sure it's for, like, he's got bulk for Scarftar, I guess, because Protect isn't for much more. I guess scouting Scarf Lando is nice, for sure. You know, Scarfers in general. And, you know, that extra 6% on, you know, Latios or Keldeo or something could be the game. So, and I guess, you know, it doesn't really need Taunt in this climate. So, yeah. I guess he'd have to be a little careful of Excadrill given his team. Not that Taunt really fixes that, but I'm just looking at his team in general. And now we see the Excadrill Chronicles as it just powers through Scarm so easily, and even he's going to recover through that crit, because, I mean, Scarm kind of has to keep roosting even here. So, because I guess he doesn't get scared out by... The Hippo coming back in really helps it, because now Scarm can kind of go for a lair without without fear of the next turn, basically. But he goes for Roost, and now Gengar's in safely. And he does switch in Heatran, and he gets straight... Dice doesn't even go for Willows. He just straight Focus Blasts, not risking any nonsense, because it would also probably hit Scarm pretty hard. So now he's got the Protect, and M-Dragon goes for Crunch. And Dice is going to escape from it. So, but this has to be the Stealth Rocker. Yup, it's Fire Blast. So that was definitely the rock. It's definitely the Rocker, as Dice goes for his free Leaf Seed with everything getting affected by it. Yeah. So I think he just remember how in the first game we spoke of how sometimes they don't run Pursuit. Well, here he really wishes he did. And it's going to bite him. He's going to be running that Stealth Rock, Crunch, Fire Blast, probably Super Power Last. Doesn't even go for the rocks because they're not going to help him too much. They would have been nice to get on that switch, since Tar's health is already kind of shot. But now he's going for... Oh, he's Brave Birding the switch, and Dice is forcing Chip on him. I guess he's trying to Leech Seed before he goes to Drill, since... Which can... I mean, this can be risky, man. Remember the Scarf Chomp threat still exists, but he's just going all out on the spikes. Now, the problem is that Ferrothorn is going to get really healthy, and there's no way to stop it. Latias comes in, but the thing is that Drill can come in at any point. Well, I guess with the spikes down, then if he's spamming Pulse, he's kind of got a... Ooh, he's Calm Minding even. Ooh, this could get close. This could get really close. It's not as cut and dry anymore, since we have seen that the Drill is not that offensive, or not that bulky, but he's going to live 2 pulses, and he is going to 2 KO with Quake. So he's going to Roost, and both Quake, now he's just getting lefties. He's not going to be able to Roost, he was trying to get the Roost on the spin. And Dice not taking any chances. This Latias is one of the few things that can threaten him, and he can spin now, as M-Dragon tries to take the Drill down with the Brave Bird. So now he can, now it's an interesting game, but I think he might Gengar. No, he's going to go to Ferrothorn. He is going to get the spikes down. Alright, so the thing is now Latias is at such health where No, it can actually, no, with Rock Sub it can't. Yeah, it can't sub on the Ferrothorn anymore. So he is going to have to eat a Leech Seed. So he's going to have, when Latias next gets in, it's going to have to roost just to be able to create a sub the next time it comes in on Ferrothorn. And then it might actually be a threat. Since here comes Excadrill, barely surviving the third spike, which M-Dragon did aggressively go for, which he kind of had to. And now he gets health from that. And, ooh, could he have punished it with Rough Skin Chop? Nope. And he's going to take it out, so he does punish the spin. So now here comes Gengar again, I think. Nope, Latios. What kind of Latios is this going to be? He's going to throw away his Rotom. Ferrothorn's at full. That's really ugly to see. When Scarf Chomp, I mean, he's not out of it yet. He definitely is not. Intelligent sack there. He was thinking, because Hippo is, you know, this is where Rotom being scarfed is just so horrible for him. And Hippo is going to Whirlwind. So now, the thing is that with, I don't know why the spikes aren't showing for M-Dragon. Yeah, there they are. So, yeah, he's got the resists, which make it really nasty. Ferrothorn being healthy. I mean, this is another example of the importance of Will-O-Wisp. M-Dragon's team entirely relies on Ferrothorn being burned by Rotom, which it usually is pretty reliable at, but not here with Dice's Scarf Rotom. So, spikes on... So now Hippo is just, or Gengar is just a problem. He's really got to get those spikes down and try to win with Chomp. It is a specially defensive Skarm, though. I mean, it doesn't have infinite Roost, but it does have a good amount of Roost, and Gengar does not have infinite Focus Blasts. However, he does have more of the Shadow Balls than this Skarmory can handle. Even it's with Brave Bird, Recoil, and Burn, it's just not going to be something you want to really get mixed up in. And it might even be better to just spike up, keep spiking, and then try to Whirlwind and Hippo and heal more safely there. Because Brave Birding on Pharaoh is not going to get you anywhere. I think that was a turn he could have spiked. I think he was at enough health. And Dice was not going to be cavalier with his Focus Blasts. So he is going to get those 3 spikes. And at least at this point, there's not much more Ferrothorn can do. Of course, he's still got a ton of lefties, but Gengar comes back in. Now with Burn and Leech Seed, then it's really ugly. Skarm cannot stall this out. So that was very intelligently done by Dice. So now the Rotom sack. And Skarm is actually, I think it's still probably out of Focus Blast range, but he is going to burn up the PP. So now here comes the issue of Dice can protect, but he can also just go to Ferrothorn because M-Dragon absolutely has to go for Dual Claw or Outrage or something here. So he could have just gone to Ferrothorn, and it, in a way, it would have been safe, but or more safe. But it's also a result of he can also protect and be safe because he can't. I mean, even if he outrages on protect and then double switches, what does he double switch to? Everything gets. I mean, he would have to like double switch to Tyranitar or something and scare it out with Fire Blast, and that's still not going to do enough yet for Chomp to become a problem, since Chomp's also getting worn down, and Skarm is going to roost, and this also gives more Leech Seeds, and it's going to get back up to full, so I guess Protect is. But I just didn't want to mention that he could have gone to Ferrothorn if he really wanted to be 1000% safe. Or, I mean, not even safer, just, you know, just be differently safe. So that was that was a nice Shadow Ball. It's pretty likely that since he's running Protect to he runs Protect to be out of Scarftar pursuit range, and so he probably runs some defense, which could also explain why he's not doing that much to Skarm with Focus Blast. So it's likely that he lived Dual Chop, but it was also pretty obligatory for M-Dragon to not stay in there, because if he just Dual Chops the Ferrothorn, I mean he's looking pretty bad regardless in terms of position, but it's also not looking, I mean, you know, that would have really just been the nail in the coffin. So now he's just going to go out with the Outrage, and that's going to be it. So congrats to Dice. Very well done to M-Dragon. This is his second Black and White Cup final, I think. He won the first one. Yeah, he's just no double crit there. That actually could have won the game, maybe. Hippo probably still could have stalled him out. But yeah, he's yeah, so this was very impressive by both players. I think you got a really good look at the metagame here with how powerful Burn and Excadrill are in particular. And never underestimate what happens when your target for those Will-O-Wisps gets away, because it's just what's shaping the metagame right now. And yeah, Leech Seed being totally sucky against it just can get really ugly. But I think it was a combination of Dice's threats that made dealing with Leech Seed such a problem. Since I mean, he could have run Taunt Scarm with Helmet or something, and that would have been good against Pharaoh and Drill, but so. That's going to be that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time.